The sun is still shining, we travel through the light and continue along the footsteps of history. Hello everyone, welcome to Interview Humanities Japan. I'm the host Maggie. The theme of this episode is treating the history of Genkan culture, and we are honored to have Mo today, a young historian from China on the show. We welcome you to join us. Could you start by telling us what made you study history at the beginning, and how do you understand history? Why would you travel all the way here to experience a Japanese Genkan?
Hello dear audience, I'm Mo, a historian from China. It is my pleasure to participate in the interview. Humanities of Japan. I really love history. The French historian Marc Bloch has said, history, with its specific object of human activity, is thought of 1,000 ways, seen in 1,000 ways, in 1,000 shapes and forms, and therefore it stimulates the imagination more than any other discipline. When I first visited Japan, I had a great interest in the history of Japan architecture. The development of culture of Genkan is testimony of heritage of Chinese and Japanese national cultures and the evolution of ages. It is attractive. It is enough to attract my interest and attention.
That's right, history as a human science is closely related to the feet of people, and I'm always impressed by the changes in the world and ups and downs of people's feet whenever I read historical literature. In Japan, Genkan is the soul of the house, and it's an area where people can move indoors and outdoors.
Yes, Maggie explained it very well. With the development of society, people's attention to the Genkan is gradually increasing, and it is because of the continuous improvement of people's life. The quality of design of Genkan space has put forward new requirements to focus on the culture implications. The application of traditional culture in the residential Genkan becomes the interface between modern Genkan design and traditional integration.
Haha, thank you for the prize. Okay, what is the purpose and significance of your research on the culture of Genkan?
In modern interior design, Genkan refers to a connection between the interior and exterior of a home, a special area of space, but the significance that this special area brings to people is extremely important. The entrance is the first view of the house, and as the first stop in the house, it is not only the transitional space, but also an area to show the owner's taste and connotation. In such a modern society, people pay attention to the functional role of the Genkan. At the same time, it is also important to pay more attention to its decorative beauty, its beauty to show oneself beauty. With the improvement of people's living standards, in the case of meeting real requirements, people have higher requirements for the design of the Genkan in addition to its functionality, its artistic sense and cultural connotation. How to make the Genkan colorful is gradually being paid attention to with the mind change of people. The application of traditional culture in the design of Genkan is breakthrough in the design concept, which adds cultural connotation to the design and also makes the design full of artistic vitality and becomes a cultural and spiritual trust for the people at a deeper level. From the traditional culture of a country, we can learn what kind of cultural characteristics and spirit the nation has possessed during the development of its historical civilization. It influenced the people's thoughts and behaviors as the core of national culture. From the perspective of art, traditional culture is also an important basis for influencing aesthetics, consciousness of people in a region. It is important base for the influencing people's spiritual perception of beauty while changing their understanding of it. Chinese Zen Buddhism was quickly adopted by Japanese people after it entered Japan, and based on their admiration of nature, it quickly grew and was widely absorbed. Japanese Zen Buddhism had slowly integrated the characteristics of indigenous Shinto religion to form an authentic character with Japanese national characteristics, and has regional differences from Chinese Zen culture.
Since you have put so much effort into researching the history of Genkan culture, then I would like to know what research methods you have used.
In the process of my research, I have adopted 3 research methods. First, the literature analysis method. I read a lot of history books, journals, and academic papers related to the culture of Genkan, and effectively use the internet to organize and analyze related contents and resources to summarize the history of Genkan to understand the connotation of Genkan. Second, the comparative analyze method. The first is to analyze the traditional culture of 2 different regions, Japan and China, through a historical comparison method that illustrates the connotation of different culture produced by different style of Genkan design in order to produce a contrast of differences. The second is to use the vertical contrast technique to describe the influence of cultural characteristics of traditional residential Genkan to modern residential Genkan design through the same region, which produces a vertical contrast between traditional and modern to illustrate the heritage of traditional culture in Genkan design. Third, the inductive method, by summarizing and analyzing the spatial form, decorative elements, and cultural characteristics of traditional residential Genkan, and summarizing the traditional culture in spatial form, characteristics, decorative elements, and color selection of materials in the modern Genkan design.
Wow, these 3 research methods really benefit me a lot. If you don't mind, I would like to try to learn and apply them in my future work, and I'm sure I will get many advantages.
No problem. We learn from each other.
Thank you for sharing. The following time is reserved for you. Please take us to tracing the history of the Chinese and Japanese Genkan.
Okay, Genkan is not unfamiliar word in modern times. It refers to a transitional space between the interior and exterior of a home. I learned through the literature that the basic concept of Genkan first originated in China. The explanation in the Sihai is that it is Buddhist door to path of initiation. The Buddhist scripture of Pu Den Lu volume 17 has a reference to the great opening of a genkan, the circulation of right eye. Another meaning is the outdoor of a living room or temple. What we usually say about genkan is a term used exclusively in architecture. In the old days of China, people would see a kind of setup when they push the door in the shadow wall, which explained in the sea height as a barrier wall outside the door facing the door, also called shining wall. This is the Chinese predecessor of modern genkan of a home. This form genkan was created by the influence of traditional Chinese culture in China. The shadow wall forms a transitional space inside and outside the gate that both connected to the street and seems to have an interval. Its role not only can set the atmosphere of the residential environment, but also can strengthen the residential power. It is a vivid portrayal of traditional Chinese religion culture, which reflects the Chinese culture characteristics of paying attention to manners and subtle introversion. There is also a spiritual culture of hiding, which means that the people standing outside the door cannot directly see the interior of the house. The shadow wall can also visually guide the direction of visitors and play a transitional role in the buffer, while also reflecting the taste of owner's cultural flavor. The term of genkan was first popularly used in Japan to describe the transition space from the outside to the inside of a house. It appeared in Zen temples in the area where one entered the interior. At the entrance of Japanese Zen temple, often have wooden slates that read "Take care of your steps." The function of genkan is also quite different from Chinese one due to the influence of regional aspect of Japanese house, a special area of space that needs to be passed before entering a home, and this area called genkan by Japanese, where they change their shoes and change their home clothes. From a spiritual point of view, the Japanese people believe that while passing through the transitional space, it is purification of soul by washing away all the dust, and is the most scared place in the interior, which is also the reflection of Japanese Zen culture. With the development of human civilization, genkan is the first stop for people to enter the interior, and it is very close to the public, as well as having an extremely important role for genkan. In modern house, people attach great importance to genkan. First of all, genkan plays a strong functional role. When people enter the room, genkan plays a barrier role, which is a buffer for visual impact psychologically, that the people do not directly see the layer of the room. Genkan at this point plays a good role in protecting the privacy of the interior of the house, which ensured a certain degree of security and flexibility in creating spatial distance. When a guest visits the home, or the owners enter or leaves the home, the existence of genkan can be seen in the functional use of people to solve the problem of psychological interferences and psychological security. making the entry and exit more reasonable and orderly. Genkan can simply welcome guests and receive mails. Some storage furniture can be placed so that when people come home, they are able to change their clothes and shoes or put down their school bags, keys, etc. Entering the room from Genkan can make people temporarily break away from noisy life and returns to transitional of their own peaceful space. And staying in this space makes the psychological buffer. Furthermore, Genkan has a certain decorative function. From the past to the present, Genkan is also a reflection of people's identity and taste. Moreover, the design of Genkan directly affects the owner's face. With the development of social civilization, people's authentic conscientiousness is improving, and the design of the space of Genkan is also improving. People's authentic requirements for special area is no less than design of interior, which shows the importance of the design of Genkan.
Thanks again for your presentation. It was really exciting. I really benefited from the history of the Genkan culture. As you said, Zen culture both physically and spiritually has deeply influenced the development of Japanese society, including architecture, clothing, the 3 Japanese ways, the tea ceremony, the flower ceremony, the book ceremony, and the art of painting. Traditional culture can be regarded as the process of development over a long and challenging period of time, and it's a process of growing and enriching the content of human culture. With the development of human civilization, traditional culture will not stop in the past, but will continue to grow along with people's lives and all aspects of society. Thank you for watching this episode of Interview Humanities Japan. After this young historian from China most research on the history of Genkan culture, I believe that you can feel the charm of history and will be more respectful to it. This is the end of this episode. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thank you all, and thank you to the host.